So, who do you think was the richest person in all of human history? I'll give you a hint. It's probably not who you're thinking of. Today, we're diving into the absolutely mind-blowing story of Mansa Musa, a 14th century African king whose fortune was so immense, it's pretty much impossible for our modern minds to even grasp. I mean, seriously, when today's economists and historians try to pin a number to his net worth, they can't. They just can't. They usually land on one single word to describe his fortune: incalculable. And to put that into perspective for you, just picture this. Tape all of the richest people alive today, you know the names, combine all their fortunes, every last billion, and you still wouldn't even be in the same league as the wealth Mansa Musa had. It's just staggering. Right? So the big question is, how? How on earth did one man, ruling an empire in medieval West Africa, manage to pile up a fortune that makes everyone else in history look, well, poor? All right, let's get into it. Our story kicks off with a really unexpected rise to power. You see, Musa's journey to the throne wasn't exactly planned. It only happened because the king before him just vanished. The king at the time, Abu Bakr II, was completely obsessed with the Atlantic Ocean. First, he sends out a fleet of 300 ships to find out what was on the other side. Only one ship came back, with the captain telling this wild story about a terrifying whirlpool. You'd think that would be the end of it, right? Nope. The king was so determined, he put together a new fleet, this time of 3,000 ships, and decided to lead it himself. He sailed right off into the horizon, and, well, that was the last anyone ever saw of him. Now, before he sailed off, Abu Bakr had left his regent, Mansa Musa, in charge of things. So, with the king now gone, presumed lost forever at sea, Musa suddenly went from being the guy keeping the seat warm to the absolute ruler of one of Africa's most powerful and promising empires. So, with the crown on his head, we move into part 2, the empire of gold and salt. Musa did not waste a single second. He immediately focused on the main event, making the empire bigger and a whole lot richer. And his strategy? Oh, it was simple, but absolutely brilliant. He just went out and conquered lands that had the two things everyone wanted back then: gold, from those almost mythical mines near Timbuktu, and salt, which, believe it or not, was basically as valuable as gold back then. And with every conquest, the Malian Empire just grew and grew, until it stretched across a huge chunk of West Africa. This gave Musa total iron-fisted control over all the critical trade routes that carried these incredibly valuable resources. Okay, on to section 3, because this is where we get to the real secret sauce of his wealth. See, taking over new lands was one thing, but Musa's real genius, it wasn't on the battlefield. It was in economics. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, richest guy ever, he must have owned all those famous gold mines, right? I mean, it makes perfect sense. But here's the twist. He didn't. And that's what's so smart about it. He figured out something way more important. You don't actually need to own the gold mine if you control every single road leading to and from it. Here's how this genius system worked. First, secrecy. The real location of the gold mines, a state secret. Nobody from the outside world knew where they were. And second, taxes. He slapped a hefty tax on every single thing that moved through his empire. Every ounce of gold, every block of salt, you name it. This created a nonstop, massive fire hose of cash that flowed straight to him. And that brings us to our 4th section, the journey that shook the world. By the year 1324, Musa was ridiculously wealthy, but it was mostly a local secret. That all changed when he decided to make the Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. This was the moment he basically announced his wealth to the entire world. And look, this wasn't just any trip. It was a moving city made of gold. Get this, 60,000 people, a procession that included 12,000 enslaved people, and their only job was to carry solid gold bars, plus 80 camels, each one loaded up with sacks of gold dust. And the craziest part, all that gold was just to give away. We're talking an estimated 20,000 kilograms of pure gold. That's over 44,000 pounds. Just think about that for a second. He wasn't planning on buying anything with it. His plan was simply to hand it out to the poor and to pay for new mosques to be built along his route. But there was a pretty wild side effect to being that generous. As his caravan rolled through major cities like Cairo, he gave away so much gold so freely that he completely flooded the market.
He single-handedly crashed the entire economy.
What happened next was basically a textbook case of hyperinflation. The value of gold plummeted, prices for everything else shot through the roof, and it took that whole region more than a decade to recover financially. His act of charity literally broke the economy of the Middle East. It's just unbelievable.
And that brings us to our last section, a priceless legacy. That journey made Mansa Musa a legend, for sure. But the golden age he had built, this incredible empire of wealth, well, it turned out to be shockingly fragile.
Because almost as soon as he was gone, the whole thing started to fall apart. Corruption crept in with his successors, and all those territories he had so carefully brought together, they started to break off one by one, taking their independence back.
It turns out the incredible wealth, the stability, the power of the empire, it was all held together by him. It was so dependent on his personal genius that it just couldn't survive without him. And so the great Malian Empire, once the richest place on earth, just faded away.
And that kind of leaves us with a really interesting question, doesn't it? This story of Mansa Musa is just incredible, a tale of wealth beyond imagination. But it also makes you wonder what a legacy really is. Is it about reaching these unbelievable, spectacular heights in your own lifetime? Or is it about building something that actually